Welcome, everyone, to our first ever episode of Diary of InsurTech, where we explore the latest trends, developments, and stories shaping the insurance industry. Today, we're super excited to have our CEO, Greg Purdy, with us to talk about his journey in insurance, his thoughts on the industry, and some of the exciting things happening at Rival. So, Greg, welcome. Good to have
Glad
you
to be
here.
here. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So let's start right at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you first get into insurance? Because I know everybody has a funny story when it comes to that, and I'd love to hear yours.
Well, I'm actually from a family of insurance brokers. So my grandfather had a brokerage, my father had a brokerage, my brother had a brokerage, my sister was a broker, my nieces are brokers. So it's just a long line of insurance brokerages in my family. So I started being exposed to it around the kitchen table as kids, learned all of the lingo, talked about renewals, used to go out with my father in the evenings and he would hand deliver policies. That was a different kind of customer service than we do today. So just entrenched in the insurance industry. So that's how I got in.
I love it. So you must know all the cheesy jokes, then speak like an insurance person with our weird jokes about risk. Was there a moment where you kind of chose it? Like, I love insurance, but technology is the path for me. So when was that moment where you got into that side?
I knew very early that I did not want to be an insurance broker. Um, so I had no plans of ever becoming an insurance broker. I was more interested in technology. I just happened to be the right age when PCs were kind of coming into the fore, and insurance companies were looking for ways to automate their brokerages in different ways and shapes, connecting them together. And so I was very young, and not a lot of people at insurance companies actually knew what brokers really did in those days and knew how PCs were impacting brokerages. So I was very lucky to be of the right time.
Just on that, so like I talk about being on the right time when in terms of technology. So like how did you know like the PCs at the time? Because it's very going to be similar what it is going on right now. How did you know PCs were the way to go at that time when it was so new and everybody was scared of it and they're like, I don't know if it's right for me, especially insurance people.
Well, I would say I'm probably it would be the same for kids that are in sort of high school today with AI and, the internet and Facebook and social media, a generation ago when you were sort of that age where you're growing up with it, you're not afraid of it. So we had no fear of what PCs were about. We would tear them apart and put them back together again. We used to know what all the chips on the motherboard did and would replace a hard drive, replace the memory. So just had no sense of limitations around what you could or couldn't do with them. They were things that we played with. We just used. So my older brother was of a different generation, so he was very sort of PC averse for a long time, and that's just the way the industry is. So there's probably people in insurance companies today that are very nervous about AI and wondering how it's going to ruin their business. So they'll be very cautious about it, and there'll be a generation of kids coming out of university that have been using it for the last 2 or 3 years, and they'll just see it as a tool that they use. So I was kind of the same just 3 or 4 generations ago.
So obviously, like as you were just saying, that you've seen a lot of changes in the industry over time. And so what do you think about the current state of the insurance industry?
Well, I think that it's on borderline on an unhealthy state. So there are some very entrenched, uh, very mature, entrenched providers in the industry, and it's not unlike it was, 35 years ago when the vendors that were dominating the industry that we're in were all selling mainframes and mini computers solutions, and they're all gone.
Mhm.
They've disappeared from the landscape. And I think we're approaching that same point where the very established providers, they're at the, I would suggest they're at the end of their life cycle. Some people call that a crazy statement. But I think that they're at the point where they are much more vulnerable than they expect. And the pent-up dissent against them has been growing over years. So the relationship with their customers has become much more at an arm's length and not a relationship of real business partnership. It's a provider that I'm stuck with, I can't get away from. So they're almost handcuffed with it. So I think we're at a point where we can offer something different and provide a real alternative to what people are kind of stuck with at the moment.
Yeah, I think you really highlighted some of the challenges that the industry is facing right now. How do you think insurtech and AI will continue to evolve and impact the future of the insurance industry?
Well, it will move at an incredibly fast pace, um, and we will continue to see changes almost on a daily basis. So I saw a stat this morning where AI was making sort of material changes a year ago on a monthly basis, and it literally is making that same rate of change on a daily basis this
Mhm.
year.
Mhm.
So insurance will explore, the carriers will test and try some different approaches to using AI. Vendors will adopt different things, and there'll be a period of creativity, I think, for some period of time as we kind of figure out what the optimum way to actually harness the power of the tool and deploy it for the benefit ultimately of consumers.
Mhm. I know that just talking with clients, it's both ends of the spectrum. Some people are super excited about it and are interested to learn about how we're using it at Rival and how it's going to impact them and their day-to-day operations. And then other people is like, I still use a pen and paper and I would like to deliver my policies door to door again. So yeah, there's such a variety in the industry right now of people that have been there for a long time or are just starting out and they're like you said, they want to adopt AI and bring it to everything they're doing.
Mhm. Yeah, it will dramatically change the way everything works.
Mhm.
Insurance
Mhm.
industry is just one of the verticals where it will have a significant impact.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ellen.
So, Greg, we've talked about your journey into insurance and your thoughts on the insurance industry. Just curious to maybe chat a little about some exciting developments at Rival. As folks are seeing online, Rival is making some very exciting moves lately. Can you share some of the latest developments happening within our company? And maybe if you want to discuss how Rival's approaching innovation and the use of AI in insurance.
Well, I guess to start at the beginning, we are adopting the most current technology that we can to build and develop a different platform for brokerages to operate on and MGAs. So we're creating something that's entirely different than the traditional broker management system or agency management system. We've listened to what brokers are complaining about, what their pain points are, and we're using modern approaches to resolve those issues. So things like access to data, open architecture, variable pricing, a business partnership, again, rather than sort of that adversarial relationship. So we're approaching things from a very different perspective. We're using technology and leveraging it to improve our productivity. Because one of the things that we have to repair is that the industry has kind of got to a point where there are annual maintenance fee increases, and they just keep going up and up and up. But productivity gains are not equal to those increases. So if you're on the other side of that, you're just paying more each year and actually getting less. And our objective is to flip that back so that it is, you get more productivity gains, more flexibility in what you can do, regain a competitive advantage by having the ability to tailor your tech stack to be specific to your business. So we're trying to, create a more competitive landscape and allow people to be free to choose things. In some cases today, if you want access to your own data, you can't actually do that efficiently or cost effectively. So we want to create that environment where businesses can go back. If they want to do something, they need to extract a bunch of their data and drop it into another application. They should be able to do that. So we need to build the tools that give them that opportunity. So that's kind of at a really high level what we're trying to do. When you bring it down specifically, we've released RPM in July of last year, and so it's in the marketplace and it's starting to prove itself as being that platform that will take us into the next sort of years of where the industry will focus around. So I think we're in a good position there. We've got a really ambitious development roadmap, and the only way we can actually achieve that is by using the latest and the greatest tools and technology. So, we understand if we want to achieve what we need to achieve to be successful, we have to be adopting the AI as a core component of what we use to build our solutions.
I love that. Steph, think you have a question on that?
Yeah. So you've said a lot of things because, like, I mean, I'm from the insurance industry too, and thinking about like how slow change happens, and you've basically said a lot of things that is completely different than the industry out there. Like, why now? Why is the time now to make all those radical changes? Like, even in the interactions with being an insure tech provider to a customer, the way that Arrival is approaching customer experiences and whatnot. Why is now the time?
Because of the maturity of the industry. So our competitors have been doing this for a very long time, and they've they used to be very entrepreneurial, creative, and innovative because they were small at one point. So they had to do those things to be successful. Once they got to a certain level of scale, they almost become more of a financial organization, and their goals are more financial rather than building the latest and the greatest solution. So they've kind of matured, gone off, and they've taken their eye off the ball of building new products. So that has given us a window of opportunity. While they've been sort of stagnant on their development plans, we're kind of sneaking in and being a small, nimble provider that can use new things and get them into our organization and get them into the marketplace at a much faster pace. So that's why now.
I love that. And Greg, it really does sound like Rival is innovating with the customer, at the forefront of that. And I love the language around Rival being a true business partner to customers. Is there anything you are most excited about in terms of Rival's future direction, whether that's 2025 or even beyond?
Well, I think the full realization of what we've laid out. So we've identified 3 phases of what we're building. So the Mercury phase, the Gemini phase, and the Apollo phase. And Mercury is largely centered around building the functionality of connecting the pieces, putting the plumbing in place, putting the data together, and getting access to it. While we're doing the Mercury phase, we still had to provide a value proposition back to customers. So there's some nice functionality available to give them a benefit out of Mercury natively. The Gemini phase is where we start introducing more broker management type functionality, accounting, and a bunch of other things that brokers do. And then the Apollo phase gives us an opportunity to really explore the full richness of what AI can really do. So we envision a world where people will talk with their applications. It won't all just be typing in things. You'll get in your car in the morning, and if it's driving you or you're driving it, it can tell you what happened in your business overnight. Or if you're hopping on a subway and you've got your earphones in your ears, why not hear what you need to know when you get to the office today and what happened yesterday? So we see a world where phones are only going to be a lot smarter. We will interact with the technology in very new and different ways. It'll be much more tailored to the individual user's requirements, and hopefully give them a higher level of productivity and allow them to focus more on the insurance side of things. And we take away the requirement to learn complicated menu structures and, how do I do that? Just tell it. You can ask ChatGPT today what you want it to do, and it will give you the answer. Why can't your broker technology do the same thing?
Amazing. I'm so excited too. I'm excited to hear that. And just thinking about the possibilities. I often joke around at work that I'm like, oh, it's making me want to be a broker again. Just go back and because I'm just thinking of the times of how work was and how overwhelming it was and how manual things are. And even though like coming up to today with our technology, it's still a very manual process. And I'm so excited that we're gonna help brokers alleviate that pain. So now it's time for some fun. This is a fun segment we're going to have in every episode, and it's called the thumbs up, thumbs down round. I know you listeners might not be able to hear, so I'll be able to say if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. But I'm going to ask you a question, Greg, related to insurance or insurtech, and give you a thumbs up, and you can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, and maybe a brief reason why. So I'm just going to fire them off. It's like a quick fire round. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here's his first statement. Insurtech companies are using AI and machine learning to enhance their customer experience in 2025. Is that a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Uh, for InsurTechs, it's a thumbs up, but I would distinguish InsurTechs from sort of legacy insurance technology providers. I think there's two different classes of organizations, sort of the innovative and real insurance technology innovators, and then legacy providers.
Yes. So how about for the innovators? So why do you believe so? Thumbs up.
Because there's just so much you can do. We have tools that will allow us to do things that a year ago or even 6 months ago would have been very difficult to comprehend how you could do it. But those tools are evolving at such a pace that you're almost constrained by your imagination at this point.
Amazing. Okay, next one. Automation replacing customer service roles in insurance. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
It's going to be a combination of two. So I don't think that uh, the idea that automation or AI is going to completely eliminate people, I think that's a little bit maybe further down the road. In the next little while, it's a tool that enables them to do more. So, as I said, you don't need to have to become an expert in a complicated software application anymore. You should be able to be an expert in insurance and customer service, and let the technology serve your needs as opposed to you serving the technology needs. So it's a change. I think there's a lot of fear around that, and the fear is inevitable. If we step back and say, is AI going to replace a lot of jobs? AI will replace a lot of jobs, but the value proposition around the people changes. So where you used to be an expert in navigating complex applications, your real value proposition going forward is your adaptability, your ability to learn new things and execute on them. So if you're really good, AI is something you should be embracing and running with. You don't need to really worry about it.
Amazing. I love how you said having the technology work for you, and it's as opposed to you having to work for the technology. It's
Right.
wonderful. Okay, last one. Blockchain technology and insurance. Is that a thumbs up or thumbs down?
It's an unrealized promise. It will happen. I think we will see smart contracts that are built around blockchain technology. A lot of money was spent on blockchain 5 or 6 years ago. And I think it was just beyond the comfort level of many organizations. But I do believe blockchain will also significantly change the industry. It's just going to change the way you will have smart policies, smart contracts that are built off of blockchain technology.
I
Thanks,
love
Greg.
I love the insights that you're sharing with us along the way, just on these little extra pieces of new things that are arriving in the market and people are just very unsure around. So it's cool to see your perspective. And before we wrap up here, we wanted to just ask you a more personal question and allow our audience to get to know you better. So if you could have dinner with anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
Geez, that's a complicated one. I would probably pick more than one person. So um, I'm a diehard Beatles fan, so it would be nice to have a conversation with John Lennon. I'm a sort of political and history nerd, so Abraham Lincoln would probably be fun to have a conversation with.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I would probably want to have dinner with.
Yeah, it's one of those questions where too, depending on where you're at in life, you're like, I'd like to talk to this person because I need insight on this particular thing in my life, right? But that's one of those questions that I think it can just allow people to get to know somebody better. So thank you, Greg, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Greg, what's your favorite Beatles song?
Mm.
A Day in the Life. It's a masterpiece. You couldn't build it today.
Mhm.
So if you were using a laptop today, you couldn't create a day in the life. You'd be too perfect, and the flaws in the day in the life make it perfect.
Hmm. I got to go listen to that after this.
You.
Interesting. Well, Greg, I can't believe time has gone by so quickly. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. It's really been a pleasure.
This was fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Okay.
So, thanks to all our listeners for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time when we chat to our VP of Strategy, Bob Jaraka, for some more great discussions on Diary of InsurTech. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Welcome to the future. Let's travel it too. Ashley, Steph, and Ellen bringing insights to you. Tech meets insurance. We're shaping the